Hey everyone, today we're visiting Kennedy Space Center located on Merritt Island in Florida at the Space Coast. You check out some of the cool exhibits here, some of the new exhibits like the Gateway exhibit. Take a bus tour over to the Apollo buildings and see what else we can find. To get over to the Apollo building, you actually have to take a bus tour. It used to take you over to the launch pads and around the vehicle assembly building, but that's actually an upcharge now. It still takes you over there. It takes about 15 minutes to get over to the Apollo buildings, and they talk about the history of the space station and everything else that they've been doing here on the Space Coast.
I'm standing inside the vehicle assembly.
Once you make it over to the Apollo and Saturn Center, you can either go through a 10-minute presentation of how they launched the ship, or you can walk through this garden that's new to the exhibit over here before entering into the actual building. Got this really cool emblem of the Apollo missions, and all around the garden are the actual specifications of each Apollo mission. One of the best views and coolest moments at Kennedy Space Center is when you actually get to walk through the doors of this massive building and are standing underneath a full-size rocket. It truly never gets old coming into this building and actually seeing how big these things actually are. There's also really cool interactive elements all across this whole area. A really good store. There's actually a theater in the back that shows a demonstration of them stepping on the moon. I love seeing the patches from all the Apollo missions hanging up above you as well. If you step outside of the Apollo and Saturn buildings and you look across the water, you can actually see some of the launch pads for some of the rockets that they use for SpaceX and Boeing. They're still working on the Artemis program, which the end goal is to get the first woman and person of color on the moon in history by the end of the Artemis program. This is the treasure gallery. It's actually really cool. They have some really cool spacesuits and pieces of history in here. These are some spacesuits from the 1960s, which ultimately led to a very similar suit that they still use today. This is the actual Apollo 14 capsule that the astronauts would actually ride in. If you look really carefully inside, you can actually see the seats that they would sit in. Just really cool that you can see this history just a few feet away from you. At the very nose of the ship, they have this really cool diorama of when they stepped on the moon. Also back here, you have the Lunar Theater, which is what I previously spoke about. And just a lot of really cool information and exhibits. Also, it looks like there is a replica of the elevator system they would take to get up to the catwalk to get to the nose of the ship and the vehicle that they would be transported in. It's called an Astrovan. Also, really cool newspaper articles from around the world about when they actually stepped on the moon. This is an exhibit all about Apollo 1. They have these really cool LED screens on the glass for each exhibit, and then behind each glass will actually be actual personal effects from each of the members of the crew. Once you get off the bus tour, you can head over to the Space Shuttle Atlantis exhibit. This actually opened 11 years ago almost. It's another amazing view of the Space Shuttle Atlantis once they reveal it in the short presentation. It's actually the fuel that they attach to the back of the shuttle. It's very cool to see an actual shuttle suspended midair with the hatch doors open, just like it was on all of its amazing missions. You can also see all the thousands of tiles underneath of it that they used and can be reused even when heating up, coming back into orbit. There's a lot of really cool exhibits in this exhibit. There's also a space shuttle launch experience that you can take. Big slides and a lot of fun stuff for the kids. This area that we're in now is called Planet Play. It's this amazing playground that they have for kids. You go through all the different planets. There's this ball shooting game. There's a stomping game, interactive screens with interactive drawing screens downstairs. Just a lot of really fun stuff and a good place for the kids to dry and run off some energy if you need them to. There's a lower level to Planet Play where you can color your own space station and put it on this wall. There's some slides, this really cool rover racer, and you can crawl through the middle of Uranus. Not trying to joke or anything here, guys, but when can you not? This whole area is really cool. This actually used to be an IMAX theater. They had 2 IMAX theaters here at Kennedy Space Center, but they took one out and put this really amazing playground for kids. They still do have an IMAX theater. They show a variety of different space-themed, about 45-minute to an hour videos every single day here, and a lot of really cool stuff. We're back on the main visitor complex now after taking the bus to the Apollo buildings. We saw the Atlantis building. We're going to head over to the Gateway new deep space exhibit building that they just built, the Rocket Garden, and they also have the world's largest space store as well. This is the newest exhibit here at Kennedy Space Center, the Gateway. It's all about deep space exploration. There's actually another shuttle launch or launch experience here inside the building as well. Talking about the future and what SpaceX and Boeing and a lot of the more recent companies are doing to get everyone back up into space and to the moon again. Just like all the other exhibits here at Kennedy Space Center, a lot of really fun interactive exhibits for kids. At the departures and the simulator they have upstairs, there's actually a observation bay up there for little kids that are not tall enough to actually watch the same videos as any of the adults that are actually riding the attraction. You see one of the big SpaceX rockets up above us, as well as some of the smaller modules There's also a VR launch experience in the middle as well. The United States Astronaut Hall of Fame was actually located about 3 miles up the road, but they actually moved it here in the past few years. It's another video and a really cool exhibit. And at the end, there is a Hall of Fame style setup with these really cool light up tiles of each astronaut up until the present day. I actually get to walk up this really cool walkway to the first pre-show room before entering the main hall and then going into the exhibit. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. It would be great if you could subscribe to our channel and like our videos. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up. We cover theme parks, other attractions, roadside attractions, a lot of stuff around the Central Florida area. Outside of Central Florida, we're trying to branch out down south and maybe even go out of state eventually to cover more exciting, fun things. But thank you again for taking time out to watch our vlog, and we'll see you in the future.